navigating to Cambridge High School. As you can see on the dashboard, we're using a GPS system that helps us locate where we are on the Earth, and it helps connect those 2 points. This is a system that allows people all over the world to figure out where they are. Today, we're talking about geographic data. I'm Mr. Coulter, and this is Human Geography. We're moving right along to topic 1.2 of Unit 1, Geographic Data. Modern mapping can use a variety of advanced tools, and data can be gathered in many different ways using all of our modern smart technology. We're going to learn about the way that we use that data and the importance of it in the next 2 topics. The first is the GPS, which is the Global Positioning System, which I think you're probably pretty familiar with. It's in everyone's pockets in their smartphones that they already have. It's the system that accurately determines the precise position of something on Earth. So the GPS helps to figure out exactly where something is on Earth. So GPS has 3 elements in the United States. So the things that we use are satellites, tracking stations, and receivers. Satellites that are placed into predetermined orbits orbit around the Earth, sending information off. And the tracking stations monitor and control those satellites. Then there's a receiver that can locate at least 4 satellites, figure out its distance from each, and use that information to best calculate its precise location on Earth. Here's a chart that helps you to understand it. So the space segment is the satellites. They ping the ground antennas, which are the control segment on the ground. And then the user segment is where you download and get that information. So this example is a fighter jet using navigation on a mission. So the GPS has a lot of great applications. The one that we use most often is the turn-by-turn directions of vehicles. So if you're using Apple Maps, Waze, or Google Maps, it gives you turn-by-turn directions of where you should go. And then also can give you other sorts of information like traffic information and what stores are along your routes. They also have navigational aid for pilots and ship captains who don't have roads to follow. And they do things like provide location for social media applications in a smartphone. So if you've ever used like a location filter or tag on Instagram or Snapchat, that comes from this GPS service. There are other things that we could go into, like running watches that have GPS built into them, like Garmin, or when you're hiking, you can use it to help navigate even when you're in the woods. When you lose cell service, you still have that GPS data. So it's important to know that this works in so many different contexts, and we're going to get into a lot of those as we move into topic 1.3. For now, let's go on to our next one, which is the Global Information System, the GIS. The GIS is a method to visualize, manipulate, analyze, and display spatial data. So it captures, stores, and displays spatial data. So we look at the picture on the right. It shows us the way that it stacks information. It might look confusing right now, but if you've ever looked at your GPS on your phone or on the computer, and where you can edit if you have just a road map view or a 3D view of the Earth, you can see that that's the stacking of information of the GIS. So let's look in a little more detail. So the GIS combines layers of information about a place to help you understand that place better. And you choose the layers of information depending on what your purpose is. So let's say you're trying to open a new store. You may look at a road map with customers and then the best way that people drive to it to decide where to put your new store. You can also analyze environmental damage, so you can look at the before and after of a major storm. And you can also look at crimes in a city to analyze and detect a pattern. So you can look where similar crimes take place and try to figure out why those things are taking place on the Earth. And you can see that they stack the different information. So in this one, they put customers over the streets with the parcels of land. And then they show the elevation in the land use, and they can get a real world image of what's going on. We're going to look at how that data is broken up now. So the data comes in 2 ways, through vector data, which are points or lines on a map, and raster data, which are landforms or other things that go onto the Earth. So the vector data, in this we can see, are cities. You've got all the cities of the area. And then they also have the vector data of the highways and major interstates. The raster data is the landforms. And on the far right, you can see that they overlay all those things. So you have the cities on top of the roads, on top of the landforms, in order to get a clear picture of that real world. And with the GIS, you can choose what you want to add and take out. We're going to play around with that. But how do we get that information? The way that geographers get this information through technology is known as remote sensing. That's obtaining information from the Earth by a satellite that never has to touch down on the Earth. There are all of these instruments and special technologies known as remote sensors. Those include photographic cameras, mechanical scanners, and radar systems. Regardless of type, they are designed to both collect and record specific types of energies that impinge on them. So they gather environmental data, weather patterns, urban sprawl, all of these different things. So let's look at this drawing that illustrates what we're talking about. So you have the sun sends off solar radiation. And the way that that solar radiation bounces off of different objects goes up to a satellite and helps inform the satellite of what's actually there. So the way that light bounces off of buildings, paved roads, bare soil, grass, water, or forest are all different. And it takes in that data to help map, well, there are trees here or there's grass here. And it helps us just to get a little more information about what's going on in our world. All right, so that is it for topic 1.2, geographic data. We learned all about GIS, which is the Geographic Information System, and the way that it stacks different layers of information for us to understand the world better. We also talked about GPS, which is the Global Positioning System, that helps you to understand where exactly you are, and then you can ping information to that. And then remote sensing, which is the ways that we absorb information to put it in the GIS system. I hope this is informative, and it's just one more step in our journey into better understanding the world. I'm Mr. Coulter, and this was Human Geography.